The cantina was full of smoke and noise. Aliens from all over the galaxy sat at metal tables, drinking strange liquids and telling stories. The air was thick with the smell of different foods and the sound of universal translators working hard. To change one language into another, Lisa Martinez sat alone in a dark corner. She was human, with brown hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Her clothes were plain and practical, the kind scientists wore when they worked with dangerous animals. She held a glass of blue liquid and watched the other customers with quiet interest. At the biggest table in the center of the room, 3 aliens were getting louder with each drink. The first was Zethkar, a huge reptile creature from the planet Draconia. His green skin was covered in old scars, and his yellow eyes glowed in the dim light. He was bigger than 2 humans put together, with muscles that bulged under his thick hide. Next to him sat Flux, a being made of living crystal. The creature's body was clear like glass, but colors moved through it like water. When Flux got excited, the colors changed from blue to red to purple. Right now, they were a bright orange, the color of pride. The third alien was Gorthic, who looked like a giant insect. He had 6 arms, each one strong enough to bend steel. His black shell was polished to a shine, and his 4 eyes moved independently as he looked around the room. 2 long antennas twitched on top of his head. "You think that was dangerous?" Zethkar said, his voice deep and rough. "Let me tell you about the Shadowmaw of Draconia." The other aliens at nearby tables turned to listen. Stories about dangerous creatures were always popular in places like this. Zethkar stood up, his massive form casting a shadow over the table. The Shadowmaw is as big as a small spaceship. It has 3 heads, each one filled with teeth as long as your arm. Its blood is pure acid. 1 drop can burn through metal. He moved his arms to show how big the creature was. I was just a young warrior then, barely past my first molting. I was hunting alone in the deep caves of my homeworld when I heard the sound, a low growling that made the rocks shake. Flux's colors shifted to interested yellow. "What did you do?" "I did what any Draconian warrior would do," Zethkar said. "With pride, I fought it." The battle lasted 3 days and 3 nights. The creature's claws left these marks on my back. He turned to show deep scars that ran from his shoulders to his waist. "But you won," Gorthic said, his 4 eyes focusing on the scars. "Of course I won," Zethkar replied. "I grabbed it by the middle head and wrestled it to the ground. When it tried to bite me, I bit back. Draconian teeth are stronger than Shadowmaw teeth." The crowd of aliens murmured with respect. Fighting. A Shadowmaw was something legends were made of. Flux's turn came next. The crystal being's colors shifted to bright red, the color of battle. "That is impressive, friend Zethkar. But let me tell you about the crystal devourers of my homeworld." The cantina got quieter. Even the bartender, a slug-like creature with too many arms, stopped cleaning glasses to listen. "Crystal devourers are not like normal predators," Flux began. "They can walk through solid matter like it is air. They eat energy directly from living beings. When they feed, they leave behind only empty shells." Flux's body became darker, the colors moving more slowly. "I encountered one when I was exploring the deep caverns. It appeared without warning, passing through the cave wall like a ghost. It was pure hunger. No thoughts, no mercy, just an endless need to consume." "How did you escape?" asked a small alien with big ears. "I did not escape," Flux said. "I fought. Crystal devourers feed on life energy, but they cannot consume harmonic frequencies. I changed my body's resonance to match the cavern walls. For 6 hours, I sang the Song of Stone while it tried to drain my life force. The alien's colors became bright white, the color of memory. Every note had to be perfect. 1 wrong frequency, and it would have devoured me completely. But I held the song until the sun rose. Crystal devourers cannot exist in direct sunlight. Now it was Gorthic's turn. The insect warrior's antennas twitched with excitement. "Both of your stories are tales of courage," he said. "But neither of you fought a hive destroyer." The aliens around the table leaned forward. Hive destroyers were legendary, even among the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. "Hive destroyers are bigger than battlecruisers," Gorthic explained. "They have armor that can stop laser cannons. Their claws can tear through starship hulls like paper. They exist only to destroy. Everything they touch turns to dust." One of his 6 arms gestured dramatically. "I was defending my clan's home ship when 3 hive destroyers attacked. My brothers and sisters fell around me, but I kept fighting. I used all 6 arms at once, striking with weapons in each hand." 3 at once?" Zethkar asked with disbelief. 3 at once," Gorthic confirmed. "I fought for 18 hours straight. My weapons broke, my armor cracked, but I never stopped moving. In the end, I defeated them by using their own size against them. I caused them to crash into each other." The cantina erupted in cheers. The aliens raised their drinks and toasted. Gorthic's victory dot. As the celebration continued, Zethkar noticed the human woman sitting alone in the corner. She had been watching them the whole time, but had not said anything. "You there, human," Zethkar called out. "Come join us. We have been sharing stories of dangerous creatures from our homeworlds." Lisa looked up from her drink, seeming surprised. "To be noticed? Oh, I don't think I have any stories that would interest you." "Nonsense," Flux said, the colors in their bodies shifting to welcoming green. "All worlds have dangerous creatures. What about your Earth? Surely humans have faced their share of predators." Lisa stood up slowly and walked to their table. She was much smaller than the aliens, but she moved with the confidence of someone who worked with dangerous animals every day. "Well, I suppose there are some interesting creatures on Earth." "Tell us," Gorthic said, making room for her at the table. "What is the most dangerous predator on your world?" Lisa sat down and took a sip of her drink. "That's a hard question. Earth has had many dangerous creatures over the years. Some of them were really quite impressive." The aliens waited eagerly for her story, expecting to hear about some small, harmless creature that humans thought was dangerous. After all, humans were known throughout the galaxy for being surprisingly fragile. Lisa smiled quietly, as if she knew something they did not. "I suppose I could tell you about my pet," she said simply. The 3 aliens looked at Lisa with polite interest. After hearing stories about creatures that could destroy spaceships and eat energy itself, they expected the human's pet to be something small and harmless. "A pet?" Zethkar said, his yellow eyes blinking slowly, "like a companion animal?" Lisa nodded, looking a bit embarrassed. "Yes, something like that. Though I'm not sure he really compares to the amazing creatures you've been talking about." Flux's colors shifted to curious blue. "Tell us about this pet of yours. What does it look like?" "Well," Lisa said, thinking carefully about her words, "he's not very big compared to the creatures you've described. And he's actually quite young still. I've had him since he was just a baby." The aliens exchanged glances. They had heard that humans formed strong emotional bonds with their companion animals, even though these creatures were usually weak and defenseless. "What kind of animal is it?" Gorthic asked, his 4 eyes focusing on Lisa with interest. Lisa seemed to hesitate. "I don't know if he'd find it very interesting. He's just a normal pet from my world. Nothing special, really." "Come now," Zethkar said with a laugh that sounded like rocks grinding together. "We have shared our greatest battles with legendary beasts. The least you can do is tell us about your little companion." The other aliens in the cantina had started listening to their conversation again. Some of them moved closer to hear better. Stories about human culture were always entertaining. Lisa took another sip of her drink. Okay, but don't expect anything too exciting. His name is Rex, and he's been with me for about 6 months now. Rex is a good name, Flux said approvingly. It sounds strong. He is strong, Lisa agreed. Much stronger than he looks. He's actually quite good at hunting, even though he's still learning. This got the aliens' attention. Even human pets were hunters? That was more interesting than they had expected. What does he hunt? Gorthik asked. Oh, various things, Lisa said vaguely. He's not very picky. He'll go after almost anything that moves. His eyesight is excellent, and his sense of smell is even better. Zethkar leaned forward. Does he have weapons? Claws or fangs? Lisa smiled. Oh yes, he has both. His claws are very sharp, and his teeth are quite impressive. He's actually got one of the strongest bite forces on Earth. The aliens looked more interested now. Perhaps human pets were not as weak as they had thought. How big is this Rex? Flux asked, their colors shifting to interested yellow. Like I said, he's not very big, Lisa replied. He's still growing, but right now he's about 40 feet long and 12 feet tall. The cantina went completely silent. Even the background noise of the universal translators seemed to stop working for a moment. I'm sorry, Zethkar said slowly. Did you say 40 feet long? Lisa looked confused by their reaction. Yes, that's right. Maybe a little more. He's been growing fast lately. I think he might have another growth spurt coming. The aliens stared at her in shock. 40 feet was not small by anyone's standards. That was bigger than most of the creatures they had been bragging about. And you keep this creature as a pet? Gorthik asked, his 6 arms trembling slightly. Of course, Lisa said. He's very well behaved, most of the time anyway. He did eat my neighbor's hover car last week, but that was just an accident. He was playing and got a bit too rough. Fluxes. Colors were cycling rapidly through the spectrum, a sign of extreme confusion. Your pet ate a hover car? Not on purpose, Lisa said quickly. He was just excited to see me come home. He gets lonely when I'm away for too long. That's why I try not to stay out too late. The aliens were having trouble processing this information. A 40-foot pet that ate hover cars when it got excited? This was not what they had expected from human companion animals. What does he eat normally? Zethkar asked, afraid to hear the answer. Oh, the usual things, Lisa said casually. Meat, mostly. He needs about 500 pounds a day to keep healthy. Growing boys have big appetites. 500 pounds? Gorthik repeated weakly. Sometimes more if he's been active, Lisa added. Last week he was playing with my friend Jake's pet, and he worked up quite an appetite. I had to order extra food from the supply station. The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. What kind of world was Earth, where creatures that ate 500 pounds of meat per day were kept as pets? Is Rex dangerous? Flux asked carefully. Lisa looked surprised by the question. Dangerous? Rex? Oh no, he's a sweetheart. He's very gentle with people he knows. He loves getting his belly rubbed, and he's great with children. But you said he has sharp claws and strong teeth, Zethkar pointed out. Well, yes, Lisa admitted, but he's very careful with them. He knows his own strength. The only time he ever hurt anyone was when some pirates tried to board our ship. But that wasn't really his fault. He was just protecting his family. He fought pirates? Gorthik asked. Fought is a strong word, Lisa said. More like he scared them away. Pirates. Don't expect to find a 40-foot predator on a research vessel. They turned around and left pretty quickly. The aliens were beginning to understand that humans might have a very different definition of pet than the rest of the galaxy. Tell me, Zethkar said carefully, is Rex unusual among human pets? Lisa thought about this. Not really. He's actually on the smaller side compared to some. My neighbor has a pack of 6 hunters that work together. They're only about 8 feet tall, but they're incredibly fast and smart. A pack of 6? Flux whispered. And my sister keeps a bigger one. Lisa continued. Spike is about 50 feet long and loves to swim. Though he's a bit of a handful, he needs a really big pool. The aliens realized they were learning something important about human culture. These were not pets in the way other species understood the term. These were something else entirely. How do you control such creatures? Gorthik asked. Lisa shrugged. You don't really control them. You build a relationship with them. You show them love and respect, and they do the same for you. It's all about trust and understanding. But surely you must have some way to restrain them if they become aggressive? Sefkar pressed. Why would they become aggressive? Lisa asked, looking genuinely puzzled. They're part of the family. Rex has never shown any aggression toward humans. He's actually quite protective of us. The aliens sat in stunned silence, trying to process what they had learned. Humans didn't just fight dangerous creatures. They adopted them as family members. Would you like to see some pictures of Rex? Lisa asked helpfully, reaching for her datapad. Lisa pulled out her small datapad and smiled warmly. I have some really cute pictures from when Rex was just a baby. He was so tiny and helpless then. The aliens leaned forward with interest. After hearing about a 40-foot creature that ate hover cars, they were curious to see what it looked like when it was young. Maybe the pictures would help them understand how humans could keep such a creature as a pet. Here we go, Lisa said, swiping through her photos. These are from his first week with me. He was so small, I could hold him in my hands. She turned the datapad toward them. The screen showed a small, fuzzy creature with its eyes closed. It was covered in what looked like soft down feathers, and it was curled up in Lisa's palms like a baby bird. "Ah," said Flux, their color shifting to warm pink. "It is quite adorable." "So tiny," Gorthik agreed, his antennas twitching with amusement. "Hard to believe this grows into a 40-foot hunter." Even Zefkar, the fierce Draconian warrior, seemed charmed by the image. "It looks very young. How old was it here?" "About 3 weeks," Lisa said fondly. He had just opened his eyes the day before. "Look, here's another one." She swiped to the next photo. This one showed the same creature, but it was slightly bigger and more active. It was standing on unsteady legs, looking around with curious eyes. He was just learning to walk, Lisa explained. He kept falling over because his head was too big for his body. It was the cutest thing. The aliens cooed appropriately. The creature did look adorable in its clumsy baby state. They could understand why humans might want to keep such a creature as a companion. "What species is this?" asked a small alien with big ears who had been listening from a nearby table. "Oh, this is Rex," Lisa said proudly. "He's a Tyrannosaurus." Rex. These were taken when he was about 3 weeks old. The universal translators made a strange grinding sound, as if they were having trouble processing the words. Several aliens blinked their eyes or adjusted their hearing organs. "A what?" Flux asked, their color shifting to confused gray. "Tyrannosaurus Rex," Lisa repeated clearly, though most people just call them T-Rex for short. They're one of the more popular pets on Earth. The cantina became very quiet. Even the background music seemed to stop. The aliens stared at Lisa with expressions of growing horror. "Did you say Tyrannosaurus Rex?" Zefkar asked slowly. "That's right," Lisa said cheerfully, not noticing the shocked faces around her. "They're from Earth's Mesozoic period. Rex here is actually pretty small for his species." She swiped to the next photo. This one showed the creature at about 6 weeks old. It was much bigger now, about the size of a large dog. Its teeth were starting to show, and its claws were more developed. He was going through his first growth spurt here, Lisa explained. He was eating constantly. I had to feed him every 2 hours, or he would get cranky. The aliens watched in, growing alarm as Lisa continued swiping through photos. Each picture showed the creature getting bigger and more dangerous looking. At 8 weeks, it was the size of a small horse. At 10 weeks, it was as big as a ground car. This is when he started learning to hunt, Lisa said, showing a photo of the young predator chasing something through tall grass. He was so proud. When he caught his first prey, he brought it right to me like he was showing off. What did he catch? Gorthik asked weakly. Just a small herbivore, Lisa said. About the size of a cow. Nothing too impressive, but he was so excited about it. The aliens exchanged terrified glances. A baby creature that hunted cow-sized animals was not what they considered a normal pet. Lisa kept swiping through the photos. The progression was like watching a nightmare grow. The creature went from cute baby to fearsome predator in just a few months. Here he is at 4 months, Lisa said, showing a photo of a massive reptilian head with teeth as long as bananas. He was starting to lose his baby teeth around this time. I kept finding them all over the ship. Baby teeth? Flux whispered, their colors cycling rapidly through the spectrum. Oh yes, T-Rex babies have smaller teeth that fall out as they grow, Lisa explained. Rex's adult teeth are much bigger. Want to see? Before anyone could answer, she swiped to a more recent photo. It showed the creature's massive jaws open wide, revealing rows of gleaming teeth that looked like they could bite through steel. Isn't he handsome? Lisa said proudly. He's got such a beautiful smile. The aliens stared at the image in horror. The creature's smile showed dozens of curved teeth, each one sharp enough to tear through armor. Its eyes were intelligent and predatory, and its massive head was easily big enough to swallow a person whole. This is your pet? Zethkar asked, his voice barely a whisper. That's right, Lisa said, swiping to another photo. Here he is playing fetch. We had to use a specially reinforced ball because he kept breaking the regular ones with his bite. The photo showed the massive creature running across a field with what looked like a metal sphere in its jaws. The ground shook under its feet, and trees bent away from its path. He loves to play, Lisa continued. Sometimes he gets a bit too enthusiastic, but he's learning to be more careful. Last month, he accidentally stepped on a small building while chasing his ball. He stepped on a building? Gorthik asked faintly. Just a small one, Lisa assured him. Nobody was hurt. Well, except for the building, but the insurance covered it. She swiped to the next photo, which showed the creature lying on its back in what looked like a massive clearing. Its belly was exposed, and Lisa was standing next to it, barely reaching its chest. This is his favorite position for belly rubs, Lisa explained. He's such a big baby. He could lie there for hours if I let him. The aliens looked at the photo with a mixture of terror and disbelief. The creature was enormous. Its head alone was bigger than most of them. Its claws, even relaxed, looked like they could cut through anything. How do you reach his belly? Asked the small alien with big ears. I have to use a ladder, Lisa said matter-of-factly. Or sometimes I just climb on him. He doesn't mind. He's very gentle. The word gentle seemed impossible to associate with the massive predator in the photos. The aliens were beginning to understand that humans might have a very different definition of gentle than the rest of the galaxy. Are there more pictures? Flux asked, their colors now a sickly green. Oh yes, lots more, Lisa said happily. Would you like to see some of my other friends and their pets? The alien stared at Lisa with growing horror, but she seemed completely unaware of their shock. She continued swiping through her photos as if she was showing pictures of normal, harmless pets. "This is my friend Jake with his Allosaurus," Lisa said, showing them a photo of a human man standing next to a creature that was slightly smaller than Rex, but looked just as dangerous. "He's got 3 of them, actually. They work as a pack." The photo showed 3 massive predators with long tails and powerful legs. Their jaws were filled with sharp teeth, and their claws gleamed in the sunlight. Jake was scratching one of them, behind what looked like tiny ears. "A pack?" Zefkar repeated, his voice getting higher with each word. "Oh yes," Lisa said. "Allosaurus are very social creatures. They like to hunt together. Jake says they're much easier to manage in groups because they keep each other company." She swiped to the next photo. This one showed all 3 creatures playing in a large field. They were chasing each other around like giant, deadly dogs. In the background, Jake was throwing what looked like a massive stick. They loved to play. "Fetch 2, Lisa explained. "Though we have to use tree trunks instead of regular sticks. Regular sticks don't last very long." Gorthic's 6 arms were shaking now. "How big are these creatures?" "Oh, they're smaller than Rex," Lisa said. "Only about 28 feet long, but they're much faster. They can run at almost 30 miles per hour." The aliens tried to imagine 3 28-foot predators running at 30 miles per hour. It was like a nightmare come to life. "Here's my sister Amy with her pet Spinosaurus," Lisa continued, swiping to another photo. "His name is Spike." New photo showed a woman standing next to a creature that was even more terrifying than Rex. It was longer, with a massive sail on its back and jaws that looked like they were designed for catching fish the size of spaceships. "Spike is semi-aquatic," Lisa explained. "He loves to swim. Amy had to build a special lake for him. It's about half a mile long and very deep." "Half a mile?" Flux whispered, their colors now a pale, sickly white. "Maybe a bit more," Lisa said thoughtfully. "Spike needs room to move around. He gets cranky if he feels confined. Last time he got upset, he accidentally flooded the neighbor's property." She swiped to a video this time. It showed the massive creature diving into the lake, sending waves that looked like tsunamis crashing onto the shore. The sound of the splash was like thunder. "He's such a good swimmer," Lisa said fondly. "Watch this part. He's showing off for Amy." The video showed the creature bursting out of the water like a missile, its massive jaws snapping shut on what looked like a very large fish. Water cascaded off its body as it landed back in the lake with another enormous splash. "What does he eat?" Gorthic asked, though he was afraid to hear the answer. "Mostly fish," Lisa said. "Big ones, of course. Amy has to order them specially. Each fish is about the size of a small shuttle." The aliens were quiet for a moment, trying to process this information. Fish the size of shuttles. Lakes half a mile long. Creatures that could flood entire neighborhoods. When they got upset, "Are these creatures common on Earth?" Zefkar asked carefully. "Oh yes," Lisa said. "Though not everyone keeps the big ones. Some people prefer smaller pets. Here's a photo of my neighbor's daughter with her velociraptors." The new photo showed a human child who couldn't be more than 10 years old. She was sitting on the ground, surrounded by 6 creatures that were much smaller than Rex, but somehow looked even more dangerous. They were sleek and fast-looking, with curved claws and intelligent eyes. "Velociraptors are great with kids," Lisa explained. "They're very smart and protective. These 6 never leave little Emma alone. They even sleep in her room." "She sleeps with them?" Flux asked, their colors now cycling between terror and disbelief. "Of course," Lisa said. "They're family. Emma raised them from eggs. They think she's their mother." The photo showed the child hugging one of the creatures around its neck. The predator's head was almost as big as the child's entire body, and its claws were clearly visible. But it looked content, almost peaceful. They're very good hunters, Lisa continued. Emma takes them out to the woods, sometimes to practice. They can work together to take down prey much bigger than themselves. What kind of prey? Gorthic asked weakly. Oh, various things, Lisa said vaguely. Herbivores, mostly. Sometimes they'll cooperate to bring down something really big, like a triceratops. She swiped to another photo. This one showed the 6 small predators working together to surround a massive creature, with 3 horns on its head and a bony frill around its neck. It was easily the size of a small building. This is actually someone else's pet, Lisa explained. A triceratops named Tiny. He's very gentle, but the velociraptors like to practice their hunting skills on him. It's all just play, of course. The aliens stared at the photo in disbelief. The creature called Tiny was enormous, with horns that looked like they could pierce through starship armor. And the humans kept it as a pet, too. How do you control all these creatures? Zethkar asked desperately. Lisa looked puzzled by the question. You don't control them? That's not how it works. You build relationships with them. You show them love and respect, and they do the same for you. But surely you must have weapons or restraints. Flux pressed. Why would we need weapons? Lisa asked. They're not dangerous to us. They're family. Rex has never hurt a human in his life. None of them have. But what if they get angry? Gorthic asked. They don't get angry at their families, Lisa said simply. They might get excited or playful, but never angry. The only time Rex ever showed aggression was when those pirates tried to board our ship. What happened to the pirates? Zethkar asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Oh, they ran away, Lisa said. Rex just roared at them, and they decided to find an easier target. He didn't even have to chase them. She swiped to another photo. This one showed Rex standing in what looked like a spaceship hangar, his massive head turned toward the camera. His jaws were open in what Lisa had called smile, showing all of his enormous teeth. This was taken right after the pirate incident, Lisa explained. He was so proud of himself for protecting the ship. I gave him an extra belly rub as a reward. The aliens looked at the photo with new understanding. They were beginning to realize that humans didn't just fight dangerous creatures. They somehow turned them into loyal guardians and companions. Lisa, Zethkar said slowly, exactly how many of these creatures live on Earth? Lisa thought about this for a moment. Oh, I don't know the exact number. Millions, probably. Maybe billions. They're very popular pets. The cantina was completely silent now. Even the bartender had stopped cleaning glasses and was staring at Lisa with wide eyes. Millions? Flux repeated faintly. At least, Lisa said cheerfully, though not everyone keeps the big ones. Some people prefer the smaller species. Here, let me show you some more photos. The aliens realized they were learning something that would change how the galaxy viewed humanity forever. Earth wasn't just a world with dangerous creatures. It was a world where humans had somehow domesticated the most terrifying predators imaginable and turned them into beloved family members. The 3 aliens sat in stunned silence, their earlier boasts about wrestling dangerous creatures now seeming very small and foolish. Around them, the entire cantina had gone quiet as word spread about what they had just learned. Lisa seemed completely unaware of the effect her photos were having. She continued swiping through her datapad, showing more pictures of humans with their impossible pets. This is my cousin Danny, she said, showing a photo of a young man riding on the back of a massive creature with a long neck. He specializes in the gentle giants. This is his brontosaurus, Betty. The creature in the photo was as long as a starship, with a neck that stretched up toward the sky like a living tower. Danny looked tiny sitting on its back, but he was smiling and waving at the camera. Betty is very sweet, Lisa continued. She's a herbivore, so she's much easier to manage than the meat-eaters. Though she did accidentally step on the town library last year. She felt terrible about it. She felt terrible? Gorthic asked weakly. Oh yes, Lisa said. These creatures are very intelligent. They understand when they've made mistakes. Betty helped rebuild the library by carrying materials with her mouth. She's very careful now about where she steps. Zefkar was trying to process this information. You're saying these creatures feel emotions? Like guilt and shame? Of course they do, Lisa said, looking surprised by the question. They're not just mindless beasts. They're thinking, feeling beings. That's why they make such good companions. She swiped to another photo. This one showed a group of humans having what looked like a picnic. Around them, dozens of massive creatures were lying in the grass or playing in the background. Children were running between the legs of predators that could have swallowed them whole. This is from last year's neighborhood barbecue, Lisa explained. We do this every summer. All the families bring their pets. It's a great way for the creatures to socialize. The aliens stared at the photo in amazement. Human children were playing with creatures that would be considered weapons of mass destruction on any other world. One child was brushing the teeth of a massive predator. Another was braiding flowers into a creature's tiny arms. How do you keep them all fed? Flux asked, their colors shifting to confused yellow. Oh, that's the biggest challenge, Lisa admitted. The food bills are enormous. A single T-Rex eats about 500 pounds of meat per day. Multiply that by millions of pets, and you can see why Earth's food industry is so advanced. You industrialized your entire planet's food production just to feed your pets? Zefkar asked in disbelief. Well, not just for the pets, Lisa said. Humans eat a lot too. But yes, feeding all these creatures requires a lot of resources. That's why we're so good at agriculture and food processing. The aliens were beginning to understand something important. Earth wasn't just a world with dangerous creatures. It was a world where humans had reorganized their entire civilization around caring for these massive predators. This is incredible, Gorthic said, his 4 eyes focused intently on Lisa. Your entire species has domesticated creatures that would be considered apex predators on any other world. I suppose so, Lisa said modestly. Though we don't really. Think of them as apex predators. They're just part of the family. She swiped to one more photo. This one showed her own ship's cargo bay, where Rex was curled up sleeping. His massive form took up most of the space, but he looked peaceful and content. A small human blanket was draped over one of his tiny arms. This is Rex's favorite sleeping spot, Lisa said fondly. He likes to be close to the ship's engines because they're warm. Sometimes I find him there in the morning with his favorite toy. What kind of toy? Flux asked nervously. Oh, just an old shuttle, Lisa said casually. He's had it since he was little. He likes to carry it around in his mouth when he's feeling anxious. The aliens exchanged glances. A shuttle was not what most species would consider a toy. Lisa, Zefkar said carefully, do other humans know that the rest of the galaxy finds these creatures terrifying? Lisa thought about this for a moment. I suppose we're starting to realize that. We've noticed that alien visitors sometimes seem nervous around our pets. We try to keep the bigger ones away when we have guests. Pets, considerate, Gorthic said faintly. We don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable, Lisa explained. Though honestly, I think people just need to get to know them better. Rex loves meeting new people. He's very social. The thought of being introduced to a 40-foot predator named Rex made all 3 aliens shudder. Lisa glanced at her watch and stood up from the table. Speaking of Rex, I should probably get back to the ship. He gets worried when I'm away too long. What happens when he gets worried? Flux asked, though they weren't sure they wanted to know. Oh, nothing too bad. Lisa said, "He just paces around and makes sad little roaring sounds. But last time I was late, he accidentally ate a hovercar while looking for me." The owner was very understanding, but I felt terrible about it. She gathered her things and smiled at the 3 aliens. "Thank you for sharing your stories. It was really interesting to hear about the creatures from your worlds." As she walked toward the exit, the aliens sat in stunned silence. Around them, the cantina was still quiet. Everyone had heard at least part of the conversation, and word was spreading quickly through the station's communication networks. "Did that really just happen?" Gorthic asked quietly. "I think so," Sethkar replied. "I think we just learned why humans are treated with such respect throughout the galaxy. And why their ships always have such strong shields," Flux added, their colors shifting to thoughtful purple. They watched through the cantina's windows as Lisa walked across the station's main corridor. Other aliens moved quickly out of her way, though she seemed unaware of their fearful glances. "She doesn't even realize how terrifying she is," Gorthic observed. "That's what makes her so terrifying," Sethkar replied as Lisa disappeared from view, heading back to her ship where a 40-foot predator waited for her return. The 3 aliens slowly came to understand something important about humanity. Other species fought dangerous creatures and told stories about their victories. Humans simply adopted the most terrifying predators in the galaxy and treated them as beloved family members. They didn't conquer their monsters. They loved them. "I think," Flux said slowly, "we need to reconsider our definition of dangerous creatures." "Why?" asked Gorthic. "Because after meeting Lisa, I'm starting to think the most dangerous creature in the galaxy might be humans themselves." The 3 aliens nodded in agreement. They had come to the cantina to boast about their battles with legendary beasts. Instead, they had learned that there was a species in the galaxy that turned legendary beasts into pets who slept with blankets and played with shuttles. As the cantina slowly returned to normal, the aliens found themselves with a new respect for humanity. They also found themselves very grateful that humans seemed to be peaceful and friendly. The alternative was too terrifying to consider. Meanwhile, Lisa made her way back to her ship, completely unaware that she had just changed how 3 aliens would view humans for the rest of their lives. She was thinking about Rex and hoping he hadn't gotten too bored while she was away. She opened the ship's cargo bay doors and smiled as Rex lifted his massive head to look at her. His tail wagged slightly, causing the entire ship to rock gently from side to side. "Did you miss me, boy?" she asked, climbing up a ladder to scratch behind his tiny ears. Rex made a sound that was part purr, part rumble, and part earthquake. It was the sound of pure happiness, and it could be heard 3 levels away. To Lisa, it was the most beautiful sound in the galaxy. As she settled in next to her enormous pet, Lisa had no idea that her simple conversation in a cantina had just become legend. By morning, the story would spread throughout the station. Within a week, it would reach every corner of the galaxy. And somewhere in the vast universe, other species would look at humans with a new understanding and a healthy amount of fear. After all, any species that could turn apex predators into family pets was clearly not to be underestimated. Rex curled up around Lisa protectively, his massive form completely enclosing her in warmth and safety. To anyone watching, it would look like the most dangerous creature imaginable was preparing to devour a helpless human. But Lisa just smiled and closed her eyes, completely safe in the knowledge that she was protected by 40 feet of pure love and loyalty. In her world, the most dangerous creatures made the best guardians. And that, perhaps, was what made humans truly terrifying.